So today, what I'm going to be looking at is a version of Linux that I'd never heard of before. Again, I went to distrowatch.com, told it to give me a random distribution, which you can see is an option right there. And it came up with this Elive, or Elive, or Elive. I'm going to say Elive. It does say that it was that it comes from Belgium, which is new for me. I haven't tried anything like that. Now, one thing that I did notice when I was installing this is it does give you an option to create a live distribution. Now, the thing that I thought was pretty cool about this, as I was reading it, is it looks like it's what's known as like a, I don't know if it says it on here. Maybe we can go to their website, but it's like a persistent live environment, which basically means that you install it to a flash drive, put the flash drive in your computer, and then rather than installing it once again, this time from the flash drive to your computer, you can run the live environment on your computer from the flash drive. You can create documents, save documents, make changes, whatever, as though it was already installed and running on your computer. And I guess the way a persistent live distribution works is, even though it's just running off of the USB stick, the files that you save, the settings that you make and you save, will load, or will save to the USB drive, and you can just pop it out of the laptop or whatever computer you have it in, and it's basically like having a mini computer. So think of it as you've got your little USB thumb drive. So you've got your operating system on there, which is not new to me. I've seen that with a lot of these distributions. But what I haven't seen, I've seen where you can run it on your computer just from the USB drive, but you can't make any lasting changes to it. It's almost like it's like running temporarily. It's running in the RAM of your computer system, and then once you shut down and pull that USB stick out of there, that's all that stuff's gone. Whatever you did is gone. With a persistent USB, I guess the way it works is it's a continuous experience. It's a continuous from the time you launch it and when you save changes and make changes, it records those on the USB. It alters it basically so that when you shut down the computer, take out the USB, and then you could take that USB and just put it in a whole new computer and launch your live environment, and all the settings and everything, all the changes that you've made, any files that you've saved are there. Any programs that you've downloaded, I guess. I don't know. I haven't worked with a persistent live USB distribution, but it sounds like, from what I'm understanding, that's how it works. It's like I guess like if you don't have access to a computer, you could basically just install this to your USB drive, and whenever you do have access to a computer, plug that USB drive into the computer and restart the computer. It'll launch you into Elive or Elive, whatever, and it will pick up from wherever you left off. So it's almost like having a computer without having a computer. I don't really know a better way to word that other than it just kind of follows you. In a USB thumb drive that just sticks in your pocket, it can just follow you from device to device. As long as it'll boot from that USB, then you're pretty much wherever you left off, which is just awesome to me. That's incredible. So anyway, I'm back here. I'm back to distro hopping, and this time I am on Elive. So what is this? So here's their website. It does say like Elive turn it into a better machine, faster, intuitive, powerful. Elive may be the best Linux OS ever made and probably the only distro you'll stay with. But Elive is not for everyone. Are you the exception? An option to download. It's a non-commercial, cost-free operating system designed for everyday use, offers much faster, friendlier, and feature-rich alternative to your expensive and ineffective default OS. Okay, that's throwing some shade there. I guess it's been around for 15 years, it says. It is kind of cool. So it is based on Debian. At least that's my understanding here. Let's go back to the DistroWatch website, and let's just do a search for it here. So Elive. Okay, here we are. It's from Belgium, and it's based on Debian, which is kind of cool. It is different. It's a cool screenshot of it there. Let me go ahead and minimize that. Did you see how it just like flips that window back in the background, and then here's my OBS recording that we're working with right now. I don't think it's moving along with me. It's kind of like a little snapshot of where I left off at. But yeah, and then this, if you can see this on my right hand side of the screen here, it shows you a bunch of system information. Shows you what I'm running here. It shows you there's OBS is on there. It shows you my system RAM, I believe. Let's see, yeah, RAM right here. So currently I'm just using 1.6 gigabytes out of 8. And again, this is an older computer. This is a HP EliteBook 8440p. I believe it's a first generation Core i5 machine. And when I got it, I don't think it had any RAM, but I think usually when you find these computers, if they have RAM, it's probably going to be 4 gigabytes. It's probably going to have 2 sticks of 2 gigabyte DDR3 RAM. But I, put together some money and upgraded the RAM. And this is, I believe, what it'll max out at. Now, I've had some weird experiences when it comes to RAM. I've had some machines who spec-wise it says won't recognize more than like 8 gigs of RAM, and I've put 16 gigs of RAM in the machine, and it worked. I can't say that I did it long term, so I don't know, if it would have hiccups along the way. I'm just kind of like testing things out just to see if it'll work. I don't think I'm going to permanently damage anything by doing that. I just think it's funny when I do that, and yeah, it's just suddenly like it shouldn't work according to what everybody says, but sometimes it does. Anyway, this machine, I've looked up a few different websites, and 8 gigabytes is what they say the max is that it'll support. But we see that right here in the upper right-hand corner. Now, the cool thing about this, and I think this was in the live environment also, when you just run it off the USB. This has been installed on this computer at this point, but this little section that you see right here, this is something that I didn't have to enable or download, install, nothing like that. This is part of the operating system, and it's really cool. I mean, it shows you the time, it shows you the date, but then it shows you my battery life. I got it plugged in right now, so it says 100%, but it shows you my memory right there. It says I'm using 1.6 gigabytes out of 7.61 gigabytes. And I think that's pretty cool too. I'm recording through OBS Studio right now. I've got the browser open, and I'm not even using a quarter of my memory so far. So I mean, I don't know how much that goes to say about Elive exclusively, because that just seems to be a thing with most Linux distributions, is that they seem to be really light on resources. So you can do a lot more with a computer that's running a good Linux distribution, and just have more memory freed up to do more other awesome things. But anyway, let me get back to just kind of test running Elive here. So this is where you launch the applications from. And so if I go here and I go to, I think if I go to Elive, I can open up, it's like the Elive Center, Elive Center. And it'll give you some information and some setup options for Elive, and that's pretty cool. What I do think is, and what I did notice is different about this compared to other, again, this is Debian-based, other Debian-based distributions. One thing is it's running GNOME, which I'm not terribly familiar with, because I just don't like the feel. I don't know what it is about this whole bar down here, this dock, whatever they want to call it. I just don't like it. I like having a start menu. It's just what I'm used to, and the fact that I don't have one here just it just really bugs me. It won't. I'm sure in the future I'll get used to more distributions like this, but GNOME is just, it just feels so wrong to me. I'm like, where do I find the start button? But it does have an applications menu button here, and that just that does help a lot. And I'm used to having like a clock down here. That's why I'm kind of glad that this does launch with this automatically. So I do have I got my date and time right up here on the screen. But anyway, let's go back into this and figure out how to install applications. So this, from what I was able to read about it, and let me pull up this web page again and see if it mentions anything about it. Enlightenment Window Manager, pre-configured with ready for daily desktop use, also includes L-Panel, a control center for easy system and desktop administration. Okay. Well, since I'm on the internet anyway, there's their website, but I guess I could Google it. I don't know if people are going to hate me for this, but let's see. What package manager, does Elive Linux come with? I was trying to think of some other way to word that, but Elive primarily uses APT, Advanced Package Tool, combined with Synaptic Package Manager. So I have tried a distribution, I can't remember what the name of that was, that used that Synaptic Package Manager. And I'm not sure exactly how Synaptic works. I do know that when I've run another version of Linux on this exact same laptop, this same setup, and it had the Synaptic Package Manager, I was able to get programs to work on this machine that wouldn't work on other machines. And what I mean by that is, I think what happened was with some of the versions of Linux that I've installed on this computer, I think it's trying to give me the most current and most up-to-date software packages, so software versions of the software that I'm looking for. So let's say, for instance, I'm looking for OBS Studio. Hopefully I can pull this back up. Yeah, it's right there. So here's OBS Studio. So there I am. I have had issues in the past on Linux computers where I couldn't get OBS to work. Man, I really wish these things would pop up with whether or not they minimize or close. That's definitely close. I'm guessing that's maximized. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I've installed versions of Linux on this laptop before, and it's an older laptop, so I'll give you that. And usually, I think it was like Linux Mint, another, and that's Debian based to it, from my understanding. I think Mint is based on Ubuntu, which is based on Debian. I believe that's the order in which it works. But yeah, so it would only install like the most current, most recent version of OBS Studio, because why not? That's probably what everybody's looking for. But if you're running an older computer with older hardware, sometimes those newer applications have just kind of dropped support for that older hardware. They start eliminating those pieces of the software, so so you're not just ending up with this huge application, because it's got to have everything it needs in order for it to work from, your, I was going to use the word ancient, you're not ancient. So it can work on an older machine all the way up to the newest machine and everything in between. And I think that a lot of these package managers will probably just pick a range, and just, maybe we'll go back. I mean, I think this computer, it's a HP EliteBook 8440p. It might be over 10 years old. I'm pretty positive it is. So let's say that's where they put the spot that they mark off, where we're not going back any further than this. So we're going to take a look at what was released 10 years ago. We will support that, but at year 11 and earlier, we are not supporting anything that far back. And I think, and it's probably pretty reasonable. So just going back to what I was saying, I should definitely start scripting these things out. But with some of those versions of Linux, with their package managers, I think I'm guessing that's what they do. And since this machine is older than that, some of these new software packages probably just don't have support for something this old. Even though it's completely functional and it works, and I'm recording on it right now, it's just like a no-go, and it would be up to me to go digging through the internet to try to find some way to get an older version of the software that I can install on that computer, and it means I would have to kind of like bypass their software package tool that they use to get you the newest programs, and find some way to like manually install it myself. And I'm not that far into, I haven't made that much progress into transitioning over to Linux yet. So what I found is that some of these versions, when they come with a different type of package manager, this one uses the Synaptic package manager, I believe it's how it's pronounced, Synaptic. And again, I don't know if this is how it works, but I've had success. I've only installed 2 versions of Linux that use this package management system, and on both of them, it's worked. And I'm guessing, and again, I could be wrong, that maybe, and if this isn't how a package manager, if any of them work, maybe someone should create one that does work this way. I'm guessing that it understands the hardware that I'm trying to get this to work on, or that I'm downloading the program from, and it's finding me the version that's going to work with my hardware. I don't know if that's how it works, or maybe this version of Linux just has enough of those older files and software stuff that maybe some of the other versions of Linux have just kind of tossed because they figure nobody's using that anymore. Maybe this version of Linux still has some of that older software that's needed in order for a newer version of something like OBS to run on a system like this. I don't know. I don't know. All I'm telling you is my experience has been that it works with some distributions and it doesn't work with others. And so far, even though it's only been 2, the 2 versions of Linux that I've tried that utilize the Synaptic package manager, it just seems to work. It just works. Like, I don't have to do any kind of crazy setup to it. I install it, I launch it, bam, I'm recording. So I don't know. Hopefully I don't get flamed because I'm not looking to go and start any issues with anybody. I'm just telling you, my experience has been that, like, the two versions of Linux that I've tried installing on this same machine that use the Synaptic Package Manager, even though it's not as gorgeous as some of the other package managers have been, that's for sure. When it does find what I'm looking for, it seems to find something that just works, and I'm happy about that. So that's been my experience with it. So I guess just based on my experience, if I had to give people advice, and again, don't don't come after me if this advice is wrong, based on my experience and my very limited knowledge on how this stuff works, if you've got an older machine like this, if you install Elive, which uses the Synaptic Package Manager, and then you install OBS using its package manager, it works. And that's pretty much all I can say. So through there, I've also been able to install Kdenlive. I think in the installer, it gave me options for some of the software already. But anyway, here, let's go ahead and pull up. Here we go. So there's the software. It says add or remove software on this computer. And okay, I didn't already have it open. I was wondering why it wasn't launching. I don't think I double clicked it right, or maybe I wasn't pointing exactly at it. So here we are. Here's what their software manager looks like. They've got a bunch of options here. I believe I am in GNOME, which it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't want to bring hate to any desktop environment. I will tell you that the ones that I like, that I use most frequently, are going to be XFCE, because I'm using older machines, okay? And XFCE is just known for being a light desktop environment that doesn't it's not a resource hog. It leaves more for my computer to work with, as far as like applications and other stuff, and I'm limited on those resources. So I'm trying to utilize desktop environments that maybe they aren't as flashy as others, but they still get the job done. And in many cases, they're pretty beautiful. Like I've installed XFCE on computers, and I've tweaked them, I've customized them, I guess you could say. I just downloaded some pictures and made a desktop and stuff like that. And I don't know, XFCE works pretty good for me. And the other one that I've used the most is KDE Plasma. And for me, KDE Plasma was my initial choice when I even first started using Linux on any system, and that was just because when I was looking at it, I'm a Windows user historically. Like all I've ever used PC-wise, unless it was a Commodore, it was Windows-based. So KDE just looked way more like Windows for me compared to GNOME. Again, I don't like this central dock at the bottom of the screen. I know that's kind of what Windows 11 is looking like now, so I guess if I had grown up with Windows in the current state that Windows is in, I probably wouldn't mind it. But I'm from way back when Windows first came around, and my first experience with Windows was Windows 3.1, and start buttons have always been in the bottom left corner. It's just muscle memory for me. So I mean, it's fine with me if your dock is at the bottom center and then your taskbar is at the top of the screen. It's whatever. I mean, I can get used to things. But my preference is going to be the start menu at the bottom and everything at the bottom basically. But it's whatever. I mean, it doesn't affect the performance of the machine, so I don't care a whole lot. It's just a preference. But anyway, getting back to installing software on this. So here you can see what's installed on here. Now, most of this stuff that you're going to see on here is stuff that just came as part of the Elive installation. I didn't install Audacious. I didn't install Brasero. I didn't install Cheese, Darktable, Calculator. I didn't install anything that's on this list that you're seeing right now. I didn't install. It was part of the installation of the operating system itself. I think I did install GNOME disks just because I like the way. So there's a GNOME application that I do like. GNOME disks is what I like to use when I'm creating a bootable USB from an ISO file. I've just found that it's just super easy for me. There's not a whole lot to click or anything like that. I know I haven't really tried Rufus. I did try Belina Etcher, and that one seems to work out okay. But that's back when I was primarily a Windows user. Ever since, I've been using almost exclusively Linux at this point. When it comes to computers, I've been using GNOME disks to create my USB ISO installation USB drives. So anyway, so I did install that. So as you can see on here, it says remove. Well, we're on my installed apps, so that was kind of redundant. But yeah, I installed that myself. But most of this stuff I didn't install. I think even Kdenlive came pre-installed on this. Kpatience, I did install that because I installed Kpatience on everything. It's just a way for me to I test out basic functionality. Kpatience it seems to me to be one of the harder versions of Solitaire. More challenging, I guess you could say. It's not like back in the Windows 3.1 days where you launch Solitaire and you were pretty much guaranteed to beat it every time. And I only played the Draw 3, not that I'm like some genius or anything, but Kpatience is different. It's different. I definitely frequently have to use an undo option. Because it'll tell you at the bottom of the screen, it'll tell you, hey, you've lost this game. Like moves, many moves before you've actually figured it out yourself. So yeah, I install Kpatience on everything, and a lot of the times I do it because I do swap components occasionally, and it's just a quick, easy game to run to kind of give me an idea of whether or not any hardware change, like mostly what I'm talking about is RAM. When I put in a new stick of RAM or something, if it's working or if the machine is having issues with it. So LibreOffice came pre-installed. I didn't install that. Lutris came pre-installed. OBS Studio, I believe I installed OBS. RetroArch. So there's a lot of gaming stuff on here that I didn't install, but that's kind of cool too. VLC, I don't think I installed. I usually do install that if it's not on here, but I'm pretty sure that came pre-installed. So that's what the list of installed apps is going to look like. So here we are in the package manager, and so I can just go up here and start searching. So if I do a search and let's say I wanted to install Kdenlive, it's going to tell me right now that Kdenlive. It's going to tell me right now that it's installed. You can see the little blue check mark right there. So it's already installed. But this is the package manager that you would use to install something new. I'm pretty sure I can still probably click on it. Yeah. So it'll give me the option to launch it. I can unlaunch it from here or remove it. Says it gets 4 out of 5 stars. For me, it gets 5, just because I'm not a big production guy. I don't know if you've seen any of my previous videos, so I don't need anything that's going to go crazy. I'm not producing Hollywood blockbusters or anything like that on here. So it fits my needs, and I just haven't come into any major issues with it, and it just feels very. Here it says right here, it's intuitive. It feels that way. It's. I think it says here that it's non-linear. For me, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting my terms confused, but to me it feels linear if I'm getting that word correctly, because it's just like, here's the beginning of my video, here's the ending, and I can do whatever I want to the middle. I can, at the beginning, I can cut it off, or I can move it forward, add an intro, and all this other stuff. So for me, I came from a Windows computer, and first doing any video editing through Cyberlink Power Director. And the last version I had installed on it, and I still have it installed on one of my laptops, and I still use it, is I think it's Cyberlink Power Director 16. And I think that came out in like 2016 or 2015, so it's like a 10-year-old application at this point. But it works, and it gets the job done. And on my Windows computer, as long as that stays a Windows computer, it's going to be on there. But yeah, going from Power Director and a Windows-based computer to a Linux-based computer and Kdenlive, it felt way more natural for me. It just kind of, to me, it works very similarly. So it didn't take me very long before I was able to start editing and producing videos through Kdenlive on any of my Linux machines. And I started out with Bazite, and I still have a Bazite machine. That's the one I do most of my gaming on. It's got a dedicated GPU. It is an older computer. It also uses DDR3 RAM. But that computer actually will take an 8 gigabyte stick of DDR3, and it's got 2 slots. So that computer right now is running 16 gigabytes of DDR3. Now, I know that might not sound impressive to a lot of you that have the newest systems and are probably running 3 to 4 times that amount of RAM, but for back when most computers were using DDR3, 16 gigabytes was definitely pretty good. And it's more than necessary for what I do. This computer that you're seeing me do all this stuff on right here, even though it's not heavy in RAM usage or anything like that, I'm doing this all on a computer that's running 8 gigs, and I probably could have done it with 4 gigs. But I like to, on these older machines, back when RAM was not terribly expensive, I bought enough of it that I have some sticks around. So on these old machines, when I find them, if they don't have any RAM, I'll supply the RAM. And if they do have RAM, and the amount of RAM is not the max that the system will allow for, if I have enough to max it out, I'll max it out. And this one maxes out at 8, and that's what I've got in here. So again, if you look at my back screen here, it says I've got 7.61 gigabytes of RAM. So let me go back. This is kind of cool. I didn't even notice this when I was playing around with this. I just installed it yesterday. Yeah, so there's Kdenlive. I wish it would show you screenshots. This is one of the unfortunate things, but again, one of the great things about this is I just have not had issues. If I can find the app that I want using this Synaptic Package Manager system, it's been working. It works. So yeah, so we got that. Yeah, normally this would have an option for either install or download. I'm not sure which the option it was. I'm guessing it was install, because I think that's how most package managers work. Yeah, so that's how I would install an application from here. But this is where I'm at, and I know I get long-winded, and I'm still really excited about my journey with Linux. if anybody's kind of curious about where I'm at with any of my other machines, I do have the machine that I mentioned earlier, which is an older HP Pavilion laptop that will take up to 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. That one's running Bazite still. That one's always ever ran Bazite. That Bazite was my first distribution, and I initially got it because I wanted to be able to game. So that system I still have, still running Bazite. I've got an older system that it's a Dell laptop. It's got a Core i5 processor in it. It's an older system, but it's newer than this. And I was just trying to get my kids involved in what I was doing. So that one has Linux Mint, the XFCE desktop version of Linux Mint installed on it. I do still have a laptop that's running Pop OS, and then I've got that laptop that was in one of my most recent videos that has Cynix installed on it, and that one is going to remain a Cynix computer for the time being. And I will still be doing probably the majority of my videos that are not this distro hopping series of videos, because I'm on this series of videos I plan to find, install, create a video, and produce that video through this computer running the whatever operating system I've got. So at that time. So for this project, I am going to be doing everything from this Elive operating system that I've got on here. So that's what I'll be doing with this computer moving forward. But I do have a computer that I was able to find that somebody put up for sale, and that computer I've dedicated to Cynix and figuring things out with them. So I will on the videos that you'll see me post that are not part of this distro hopping series of videos, if it's just me doing some of my old stuff like taste testing new items or whatever, new food items, those are pretty much going to be exclusively produced using Kdenlive, but on the laptop that I've got running Linux. So that's where I'm at right now with Elive. I don't know. Well, I think it's Elive. We'll see. Isn't this cool? Like it even shows you like what's using up all my RAM right now. For some reason, Firefox is using 5.5% of my RAM, and OBS, even though it's recording video, is only using 3.39% of my RAM. So that's kind of weird. But I mean, combined, OBS is using more processor, but even then it's only using 13% of the processor. That's what I mean when I'm saying the words that I'm saying about these old machines. I still feel like these are highly capable machines, and again, it depends on what you're using them for. But for what I'm using them for, they can do it. I mean, it's using up, let's see, I'm using up, is that less than 20%? Yeah, it's less than 20% of my processor is in use right now. I'm shooting a video. I'm recording a video. Well, that's the same thing. I'm recording a video, and I'm navigating the internet and doing all kinds of stuff. I've got my browser open, OBS open, the Elive Center. I don't know. It's just these machines they were incredible when they were released. I feel like they still have a lot of use left to provide. And so, I mean, I'm just gonna, I guess I've made it. I don't want to say mission because that sounds really corny, but I've made it my job, I guess, to show that there's really, unless you absolutely need to, I don't really see a reason to just abandon or get rid of these older machines, because they're still capable of doing a whole lot. Anyway, that being said, I think I've talked on way too long about all this stuff. This was really just supposed to be about Elive. But I just want to say, be safe. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Leave a recommendation, and what you recommend, that just might end up being my next video. For the time being, like I said, stay safe, get vaccinated. Going back to what I was saying right before I did this, I think I remembered, any videos that are not distro hopping related are likely going to be edited on Kdenlive, and rendered in Kdenlive on that Lenovo, I think it's an Idea pad that's running Cynix. So anyway, again, peace, and see you in the next video.